don't think so.
What's up, everybody? It's a little low. Welcome to the Monday Community Conference Call to Action. I'm here with Ed Friedhoff. He has 3 children that are being held in Maine, habeas corpus. They were taken illegally, by the CPS there and being held. Tomorrow he has court in the morning, and he needs a little bit of help with an opening and closing statement. And so I tagged a few people like Randy Davis. I know Kathleen Arthur has talked to Ed on the phone. This Facebook profile is his wife's, that's the profile he uses, and we communicate that way. But I wanted to introduce you all to Ed Friedhoff. Ed Friedhoff, Facebook land, and YouTube land, and Twitter land, and Twitch land.
How's everyone doing?
Hopefully everybody's doing okay and getting ready to go to the events in DC, including the Million Parrot March, the mother of all rallies, Constitution Day. So tell everybody, if you'd like, as much as you want, about your situation and how people could help tonight before you have court in the morning. It's your time. You have as much time as you want. You have the floor, my man.
Yeah, how's everybody? Name's Ed, like Ted was just saying. I live up here in northern Maine. I was in to sum the story up, I guess, because over 6,000 piece of paperwork that we received. It's kind of
wow.
Going to try to sum it up the best I can, you know what I mean, to get to the point. So to sum it up, I was in a car accident. Alcohol was involved. The children was nowhere around. They was at home safely with mom. I went into the hospital. The very first doctor that seen me had asked me if I did any drugs. I said I smoked casual, recreational, legal marijuana, and I drank sometimes. So he did a urine test. That's what came back. And my urine sample, which was cannabis and alcohol. And he signed me out to another doctor, sedated me, and gave me a drug called Zyprexa, which is a psychological drug. I guess they thought I was going to be signed out of the hospital the next morning after I sobered up. Well, come to find out, I ended up having emergency surgery because my gallbladder was ruptured. My sternum was fractured, my jaw was fractured, actually was broke. My nose was fractured, my rib was fractured. So I was on life support for a couple of days in ICU. This was on the 2nd and 3rd of March. Well, apparently the first doctor that signed me out to the next doctor said she was going down a list of drugs and said I said yes to a bath salt. But keep in mind, the prior doctor, the first doctor I ever seen, had asked me about drugs. I told him no. I smoked recreational legal cannabis and a casual drinker. He did a urine test, and that's exactly what came back in my urine sample. But when he signed me out to that next doctor, he added a Zyprexa drug to my medication, which causes hallucinations and stuff like that. It's a pretty crazy drug. And so as she went down the list of drugs, apparently, again, she said I said yes to a bath salt. I went to emergency surgery. They did blood work on me, and they found no drugs in my system. This was on the 2nd and 3rd of March. Okay, so I wake up on the 9th of March out of my coma. CPS was there talking about bath salt use. And on the 14th, on the 9th, the 10th, I got out. The 9th, I woke up. On the 10th, I left the hospital. It was my daughter's birthday. My mom had flew up from Cincinnati. My little sister flew up from Mississippi because the hospital thought I was going to die, you know, so everybody was flying up. So I got out on the 10th, woke up on the 9th. Keep in mind, when I woke up on the 9th, the hospital report says I was alert, awake-oriented, no alcohol withdrawal, patient as well. Well, on the 14th, I get out on the 10th, and then on the 14th, the CPS calls us down to this meeting just to confirm that, hey, they want no bath salts, we're getting out of your life. Well, we go down on the 14th, and they end up taking my kids. Well, it took about 2 months for me to be able to get any kind of paperwork. I get all this, I start getting my motion to discovery, and I see why they took children. Well, on the 14th, they say the purpose of the meeting, right here, this paperwork here, it says purpose of meeting and pre-removal placement change. And down here on the danger statement, it says, and this is on the March 14th, day my children was taken. On the 3rd of March, the hospital and the chief Martin from the asked, well, why? There was no drugs, no children, you know what I mean? It had nothing to do with kids or nothing. So anyway, here on the 14th, I get my paperwork 2 months later, and it says down here, the reason they had a meeting was because this danger statement here, and it states, DHHS and Ashland Police Department are worried that Ed has been using bath salts and caring for his children, which puts them in danger of being neglected or even harmed. DHS and Ashland Police Department are worried that Ed has such a significant criminal record for drug-related crimes and domestic violence and could physically harm his children. And then down here says, DHS is worried that Stephanie, my children's mother, we have 3 children together, and we've been together about going on 8 years. Keep in mind, we just found out Thursday, that we went for a doctor's appointment, our second ultrasound, and our baby didn't have a heartbeat. Couldn't handle the stress that we've been through the last 6 months. On the 14th of this month, it'll be the 14th. And I put that in my motion to dismiss, too. When I got done with my motion to dismiss, I told the judge, I said, I'm begging for your help. I said, this stress, before this stress, hurts my unborn child. And obviously that's what it did, you know. So we get down here to the purpose of the meeting. She says bath salts with the police department stuff. And then we get down here to the decisions resulting from this meeting. Okay, placement. The children will be placed in a licensed foster care home if custody is ordered to DHHS. That's the very first illegal thing they did. Well, actually, the first illegal thing they did, but it's the first legal thing that matters to me, which was why they said they even sat down with my children. You know, the purpose of the meeting. They said DHS and Ashland Police Department worried that I'm using bath salt and endangering my children.
Wow.
Okay. Chief Martin from the Ashland Police Department. Here's my witness list. He'll be at my hearing, at my dismissal hearing tomorrow. He states in his testimony, him and Chief Martin and Sergeant Carney from the Ashland Police Department, they've already made statements to the news, to the state DA, Todd Collins, which that guy ain't did nothing either, which he knows what's going on, but he ain't did nothing. And but tell me to write him. He said, you got to write me if you want to find out anything else about the case, because there's too many agencies involved. And obviously, I've got so much going on with my kids. I'm not worried about lawsuits. I'm not worried about criminal charges. I just want my children home.
Yeah.
So that's been put on the back burner. But Chief Martin states that he didn't even know they was taking the kids on the 14th because he was there at the meeting. He said that on the 3rd, my girlfriend signed a medical release form for DHS and Ashland Police Department to receive my medical records from the hospital because I was unconscious. I was in a coma. And Chief Martin says that was a lie. He said the police department didn't feel you was endangering your children due to bath salt use on the 14th. He said on the 3rd of March, we received a toxicology report from the Tamick Medical Center, and they established there was no drugs in your system. He said we didn't feel that way. The police department did. He said she lied. And then in the affidavit, here's some more of her like, what do you want to call it, government narrative reports. Mm-hmm. She says here that Chief Martin had received Edwards' NCIC report. It was over 100 pages in length. There appear to be 15 outstanding warrants for Edwards' arrest, but none of them are expeditable. She's saying that she got this from Ashland Police Department, specifically from Chief Martin. And it's not my criminal record. It's got a bunch of OUIs on it, a bunch of cocaine charges, a bunch of domestic violences. It's got assault forth on a minor. Got all kinds of crazy crap. Warrants for burglary.
Nothing that you did.
Of course.
Oh, broke up a little bit.
And of course, it ain't got no department letterhead on it. It's just a piece of paper printed up and no letterhead on it.
She's telling.
So Chief Martin says that
She's telling.
I couldn't hear you.
She's telling her department, the CPS department, that she got this from the police, or the court that she got this from the police.
Chief Martin. She got this. She said she got this from Chief Martin in the Ashland Police Department.
And she's telling
she
that
said Chief Martin supplied
to the court.
This is on her narrative report. Come answer that.
That's on the CPS.
Oh, it's Rita.
That's on the CPS report
this
to
is on
the court.
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah.
Chief Martin says Brandy Gillette, the CPS worker. Chief Martin says Brandy Gillette called him for Mr. NCIC report. Chief Martin said that he told her, Brandy Gillette, to give her my NCIC report, and if she wanted it, she would have to obtain she had to have a warrant for my NCIC report. So he said he never gave this to her. She lied.
Wow.
A subpoena. She had to have a subpoena if she wanted my records.
Right.
Chief Martin said this caseworker, Brandy Gillette, had called his department back 2 days later and said she got this report from her office, from her department. Wow. So that's another planted evidence and obviously perjury to take the kids. Okay? So that's all in the affidavit to take the kids. Well, get this. That day the kids was taken, it gets crazier. The day the kids were taken by a foster parent, her name is, let me see here. Her name is Sharon Bird. She says, hold on 1 second. Yeah, right here it is. It says, Sharon Bird here. She states, trying to get it. She said, Sharon said she gave this was within hours of my kids being put in her home. Keep that in mind. Sharon said she gave all the kids a good bath, shower, and scrubbed them down. She said Grayson has what it looks like, maybe a pimple or something on his buttocks, which it was a boil. My sister used to get them. We get boils. But anyhow, she said it hurts and he does not want no one to touch it. She said he also had some marks all over his back that were big and red. That's my first son, Grayson. Then she says Zoe had some bruises on her butt and back. Then it says Theo had a lot of bruises on his back. Kelsey DeFleece, the social worker, says, I told her I would go check those marks out hopefully today, depending on the weather, because there was a big storm coming in. Well, the foster parent was so quick to get down to the doctor's office and about these crazy bruises, so they say on the paperwork, that she didn't even know my kid's last name when she got there. So they had to wait for the CPS to get there to the doctor's office. And this is on the 15th. My kids was taken on the 14th. It was bruises, allegations of bruises from the foster parent on the 14th. This is the Kelsey DeFleece and the Dr. Uchenda's medical report right here, their summary. It says, Grayson saw Dr. Uchenda at Pines Meds, male doctor. Grayson was very compliant with the doctor and seemed to think it was funny to be examined. Height was good, and the temp was normal. Doctor examined the mark on his right buttocks and diagnosed him with a boil. Okay. Let me get to... Okay, here it is. This is the part I wanted to read, the main part. Right here, this is Kelsey DeFleece still on the 15th within 24 hours. It says, I looked all three children all of the children over on their backs and bottom area while the doctor was in the room also observing for any bruises or marks. I did not see anything out of...
You cut out. So what Ed is saying is the doctor, the first doctor that saw his children, saw no marks, no bruises, no nothing, saw the boil, you know, that's it. I'm working with Jay Moss to start getting some better audio. We have a test happening tonight, and hopefully we're going to do that with his show tomorrow. And this is the reason why for that testing, because doesn't bother me that the video skips, but when the audio skips, it's really a pain in the arse. So Ed's situation, yeah, and we lost him. So Ed's situation right now is he has court tomorrow. He's very well prepared with all of this stuff. His case mirrors a case in Texas where DCF was found to be breaking people's constitutional rights. And that was the one I mentioned when Jennifer Wynn was on the show. And the CPS's solution, or DCF's solution to that, was asking for another $800 million in order to uphold people's constitutional rights. Where they should take a giant pay cut and put children with extended family in these situations instead of a foster parent that's only interest is getting that incentive money of $100,000 a year per child. Certainly doesn't cost $100,000 a year to raise a child, and certainly not $300,000 to raise three. And I don't know the specifics in Maine, but those children should be with extended family within the first 24 hours of alleged abuse. The abuse, according to the first doctor, wasn't founded. There was no abuse. They should be returned immediately. So he was in a concussion. CPS used that to commit perjury, to kidnap his children. I believe his case is pretty well open and shut, except for the obvious that won't necessarily get him justice. So even though his case, or he has tomorrow pretty much wrapped up, he could use some help with an opening and closing statement. For instance, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. They violated their life, one, by removing the children, his children's rights, removing the children, incarcerating the children. Two, liberty. Not only did they do that, but also they put his kids in a room and tried to force them to make a statement saying that Ed and his wife hit them. And the children kept saying no, kept saying no, kept saying no. And we know what happens in those situations. You put a child in a corner and you say, tell me this, tell me this, tell me what I want to hear, tell me what I want to hear, and you can go play. You know what's going to happen? They're going to tell them what they want to hear, whether it's the truth or not. Is that liberty? No. And pursuit of happiness. Here, okay, Ed's back with us. So
hold on.
Obviously, all those situations are,
Sorry, my phone died.
Yeah, that's all right. I figured something happened. Let me put you back on the screen here. So I was just giving everybody an update about the doctor. The doctor found no evidence of any abuse, any neglect, nothing. I also told them about how they tried to coerce statements from your children.
I got video. I got audio.
You have audio of it. Wow.
Yep.
So
matter of fact, I could play it.
Sure.
I could play it.
Let's. We might as well.
So yeah, find the CDs and tell Jeff I need a DVD player. Right. So look, this is yeah, that's a good idea. Let's play them.
You'll get to see how many times our kids.
Okay. Now look, this is on my kids was taken on the 14th. On the 15th, the doctor said there was no bruises with this caseworker called Chelsea the police, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. right here. Okay, so on the 15th, here's a referral from the Brandy Gillette, the first one that made all this crap up in the first place. Here she is. They take my kids a month later to see if they've ever been sexually touched and stuff, which they obviously haven't been. It's all normal. There's normal on our private areas. But Brandy Gillette, look, this is what Brandy Gillette sends down to them on the 15th now.
And this is Brandy Gillette is the CPS worker, right?
She's the one that started all the crap.
Yeah.
She was the one that was at the hospital.
Yeah.
Okay, now, this is Dr. Lawrence Reiki from Bangor Medical Center. That's an hour and a half south.
Bangor, Maine, yep.
This is his report. He says the original referral came on 3/15/2017 from Brandy Gillette, DHHS, Holton, noting concerns over multiple forms of abuse, sexual, physical, psychological, and emotional by the parents. And then when taken into DH custody, it was discovered that they were covered in bruises. So the 15th, there was a Dr. Uchanda from Pines Pediatrician up here in Aroostook County, Prescott Caribou, saying, hey, there's no bruises on these children. Foster mom made crazy allegations. That's all they could say.
Right.
The body don't lie. And they did a body search, and there was no bruises. But you had her the same day that the doctor up here was saying there's no bruises. She's still sending a referral for medical evaluation on my kids to a doctor down south, saying that they came in the home covered in bruises, so she could get a doctor to accept the report. You feel me?
Yep.
And then look down here on the same report. What the fuck, man?
Oh, I think we lost him again. That's the reaction you usually get when you're trying to tell a story and your phone dies. So, bottom line is, there's a few comments here. Let me look at the comments. Of course, I just swiped them away. Amelia Durand is all over this. SHIT. David McNeil. Thank you, David. Brian Kinter. Sue the Rasses in federal court. That's what he plans to do. So, an opening statement, you know, that I was leaning towards was, congratulating, because they also switched judges on him. The judge recused himself from the case, so they have a new criminal judge coming up to this district or this circuit court from Southern Maine, Portland or something. This individual was a prosecutor. That could bear well or not well, you know. Hopefully that'll be a good thing in this situation. But who knows how well this judge understands the case. It's a new judge, so my first thing was having him congratulate this judge on him or her new appointment, and then telling the judge what he hopes the outcome is for this case, seeing the evidence, having the children returned immediately that day, and then going into the violations of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. We could use some help on specifics, civil rights violations. I know Kirk Pendergrass can help with that. Randy Davis can help with that. I'm sure Connie regularly can help with that. Brian, everybody I tagged in that. Because you want to give just enough information, but not tell the judge what they should or shouldn't do, because, that'll generally piss them off. So I don't want to give him any misinformation. I'm not a lawyer. Most of us aren't lawyers. We can't give any legal advice, but we can certainly help steer him in the right direction. So that's what I'm trying to do here for Ed and his wife and his 3 kids. And the unfortunate thing is this stress, they had a baby on the way, 10 months. The baby died in the womb because of all of this. The baby died. She had to just go into surgery and remove their dead baby. I mean, the stress that we've gone through, I know my personal experience isn't anywhere near as horrible as this. And the anxiety was debilitating. Debilitating. I mean, it affected my health to the point where, I'm still waiting on surgery, and I won't get into any of that. But this is just a whole other level that I can't even fathom my son in somebody else's care because somebody was lying. Imagine if you're haven't gone through CPS, you understand that your ex-wife or your ex-husband has your child or children. Imagine if they didn't. Imagine if a stranger had them and they were fighting you every inch of the way to keep those kids because of the money, because of the incentives, not because they love them. Imagine the anxiety, the depression that causes. Will it cause this mother to lose her baby? This is a CPS agent, a foster parent, killing a child through stress by trying to keep their other children. I mean, it's murder in my eyes. If you think about your own children being kept from you in such a situation, it would also be murder in your eyes. So we're all, the few people that has talked to, we're all anticipating a good outcome tomorrow. He's just trying to cover every last base possible. And I was hoping to bring him on the show as a success story here shortly. I hope, we hope. But like I said, he could use a little bit of help with an opening and closing statement. If any of you guys have a few minutes to get in touch with the person, Stephanie, the person who's tagged at the top in the title of the description, that's the Facebook profile that Ed is using. And if you could message them and give them any tips, or even if you're really quick at writing, oops, I just totally messed that up. Maybe you could whip something up for him using an opening, a middle, a closing statement type of thing. Something he could just reference really quick, because I know they're super stressed out. I'm a good editor. I'm not the best writer in the world. I started putting something together for him, and Kathleen mentioned going live, and I said, well, why don't we broadcast? I can tag people in it that you may or may not know. Here he is. He's back right now. Hey, Ed.
Sorry, wouldn't it do that to me when it's crunch time?
Yeah, that's the way it works, But yeah. I was actually just kind of summarizing everything to get people the most information so they can use that to best help you and get something written up, or give you some ideas for an opening and closing statement. Let's see if everybody, of course, Brian Kinter says, sue their asses in federal court and be prepared to do it again and again and again until we stop this insanity. Brian is a success story in a situation somewhat similar to yours. How they kept his kids was saying, well, there's the possibility, even though there was no abuse, they held his daughter for quite a long time because of the possibility. It doesn't make any sense. And so he's been going back seeking redress, and that's something we're working on, all of us, because it's our First Amendment right. It's the last sentence in the First Amendment saying, we have the right to seek redress when the government wrongs us. Redress means compensation. So we know that there was no abuse, and her saying that there was the third count of perjury in your case. So, and then talk about how they were interrogating your children, and you're about to play the audio to that. You don't necessarily have to if you don't want to. I know it's
No, I will, because my daughter just turned 4, and you could tell at the house she's so uncomfortable, man.
Yeah.
So uncomfortable.
4-year-old. He has a 2, a 4, and a 5-year-old that were stolen.
Yeah, and they all just had birthdays before. Like 2 of them they've been in custody, and 1 a couple weeks before. Because 1 was right when I got out of the hospital. Zoe, my youngest, she turned 4.
Wow. So,
but I'm trying to get my DVD player situated. I'm on an Xbox, but I'm trying to, on the audio that they gave me, it won't play my Xbox. I have to play in a DVD player.
Oh yeah.
And my yellow cord's messed up, so I'm en route looking for a yellow cord.
Okay.
My nephew's dealing with it, trying to get it going. But look, a month later, look, Kelsey, right? This is what the doctor said she notes. Kelsey notes today that she didn't see the bruise. Kelsey's the one that was in with the doctor, right?
Okay.
But within 24 hours of my kids being in care, Kelsey was there with the doctors, noting that there was no bruises. Kelsey notes today that she didn't see the bruises. The children have been in foster care for 1 month. All the bruises are gone.
They say the bruises.
Tell me that ain't crazy.
The bruises that never existed are all gone.
Yeah. So the kid's been in foster care for a month. She's saying so all the bruises are gone, but she didn't see it. But she was still implying that they was there, but the kids have been in foster care for a month, so they're all gone.
Yeah. It's unbelievable.
And she's seen them before she's seen them within 24 hours with the doctor. And then get this. This was in March 15th that they found there was no bruises, right? Within 24 hours. They kept my kids there for a couple more weeks. Then I complained about it. I made my lawyer say something about it in this kind of team meeting, whatever you want to call it, where they come and they ravish you. All of them ravish you at once is what I call it. But anyways, I found out that after they took the kids out of the home a couple weeks later, after I got my other packet of motion discovery 3 months later, it says they were still using that foster parent as a respite, which respite here in the state of Maine is for a babysitter. So they were still putting my damn kids over there on the weekends, man.
Wow.
Tell me that ain't nuts.
They were putting your kids.
But they call me crazy.
In CPS, from the foster parent to the CPS office on the weekends?
No. The CPS, the first foster parent that lied, her name's Sharon Bird. She lied within hours of my kids being in her home. Within 24 hours, the allegations was proven by a doctor and a caseworker that they was false.
Right.
About 2 weeks later, they put my kids in
another foster home, which they've been in that foster home since then. But when I got my motion of discovery, I found out after they took my kids out of that first situation to the other foster home, they were still letting my kids go back to that first foster home, Sharon Bird, for respite to be babysit.
Oh, I see. That is
2 months later.
That is that's crazy. I don't know what happened to your audio, but it got a little distorted there.
Okay, what about now?
It's still a little distorted.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but it's coming in. It might be your connection all the way up there. I've never been that far north in Maine. You're like almost parallel with Quebec City. That's how far north he is. And practically north of Nova Scotia, that far north.
Okay, how about now?
It's still pretty distorted, bro. But it's all right. I think we I think we got the meat of what we needed to get out. Yeah, I can hear your an echo on your side, and my voice sounds distorted coming back through. Let's see.
Okay, what about now?
Yeah, it's still pretty distorted.
phone is so dead. It's on zero, but I got the charger in and all kinds of.
Yeah, it's not liking it. Well, I'll tell you what. If you'll see this post because I tagged your wife's Facebook profile on there. If you want to write anything and reach out to anybody through it, we can get you some help that way. Get some people to maybe give you some tips for tomorrow before you go into court. I appreciate your time, Ed. I'm sorry that you're going through all of this. I hope that this will help a little bit. And hopefully in the next hour or so, some more of the people that I tagged will see this and comment for us. So thank you everybody for watching. I think I'm going to wrap this up. You guys have a good night.